Hi, Brandy. Um, I don't know if you'll ever see this or if you'll ever want to see it. Um, Back in May, I ordered this book called Hold Me Tight. I remember the reviews back then, but I didn't really start reading it. And we've been talking a little bit the last couple days. So, as I started to read it, I just wondered if maybe I could read to you one more time. And I don't know what the book contains. But it's by Dr. Sue Johnson, developer of emotionally focused couple therapy, the most successful approach to building loving relationships. So the introduction starts. I've always been fascinated by relationships. I grew up in Britain where my dad ran a pub, and I spent a lot of time watching people meeting, talking, drinking, brawling, dancing, flirting. But the focal point of my young life was my parents' marriage. I watched helplessly as they destroyed their marriage and themselves. Still, I knew they loved each other deeply. In my father's last days, he wept raw tears for my mother, although they had been separated for more than 20 years. My response to my parents' pain was to vow never to get married. Romantic love was, I decided, an illusion and a trap. I was better off on my own, free and unfettered. But then, of course, I fell in love and married. Love pulled me in even as I pushed it away. What was this mysterious and powerful emotion that defeated my parents, complicated my own life, and seemed to be the central source of joy and sufferings for so many of us? Was there a way through the maze to enduring love? I followed my fascination with love and connection into counseling and psychology. As a part of my training, I studied this drama as described by poets and scientists. I taught disturbed children who had been denied love. I counseled adults who struggled with the loss of love. I worked with families where family members loved each other but could not come together and could not live apart. Love remained a mystery. Then, in the final phase of getting my doctorate in counseling psychology at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver, I started to work with couples. I was instantly mesmerized by the intensity of their struggles and the way they often spoke of their relationships in terms of life and death. I'd enjoyed considerable success treating individuals and families, but counseling two warring partners defeated me, and none of the books in the library or the techniques I was being taught seemed to help. My couples didn't care about insights into their childhood relationships. They didn't want to be reasonable and learn to negotiate. They certainly didn't want to be taught rules for fighting effectively. Love, it seemed, was all about non-negotiables. You can't bargain for compassion, for connection. These are not intellectual reactions. They are emotional responses. So I started to simply stay with couples' experiences and let them teach me about the emotional rhythms and patterns in the dance of romantic love. I began to tape my couple sessions and replay them over and over again. As I watched couples shout and weep, bicker and shut down, I began to understand that there were key negative and positive emotional moments that defined a relationship. With the help of my thesis advisor, Les Greenberg, I started to develop a new couple therapy, one that was based on these moments. We called it Emotionally Focused Therapy, EFT for short. We ran a research project giving some couples a developing version of EFT, others a behavioral therapy teaching communication skills and negotiation, and others no therapy at all. The results for EFT were amazingly positive, better than no treatment or the behavioral therapy. Couples fought less, felt closer, and their satisfaction with their relationships soared. The success of this study propelled me to an academic position at the University of Ottawa, where over the years I set up more studies with many different kinds of couples in counselors' offices, training centers, and hospital clinics. The results continued to be astoundingly good. Despite the success, I realized I still didn't understand the emotional drama that entangled my couples. I was navigating the maze of love, but I hadn't yet reached its heart. I had 1,000 questions. Why did the distressed partners in my session seethe with such strong emotions? Why did people struggle to get a loved one to respond? Why did EFT work? And how could we make it even better? Then, in the middle of an argument with a colleague in a pub, the place where I first began to learn about human connection, I had one of those flashes of inspiration and understanding we read about. My colleague and I were discussing how so many therapists believe that healthy love relationships are just rational bargains. We all we are all into getting as many benefits as we can at the smallest possible cost, goes the thinking. I said that I knew there was a lot more than this going on in my couple sessions. Okay, my colleague challenged. So if love relationships aren't bargains, what are they? Then I heard myself say in a casual voice, oh, they're emotional bonds. They're about the innate need for safe emotional connection, just like British psychologist John Bowlby talks about in his attachment theory concerning mothers and kids. The same thing is going on with adults. I left that discussion on fire. Suddenly I saw the exquisite logic behind all of my couple's passionate complaints and desperate defensiveness. I knew what they needed, and I understood how EFT transformed relationships. Romantic love was all about attachment and emotional bonding. It was all about our wired in need to have someone to depend on, a loved one who can offer reliable emotional connection and comfort. I believe I had discovered or rediscovered what love is all about and how we can repair it and make it last. Once I began to use the frame of attachment and bonding, I saw the drama surrounding distressed couples so much more clearly. I also saw my own marriage much more clearly. I understood that in these dramas we are caught up in emotions that are part of a survival program set out by millions of years of evolution. There is no sidestepping these emotions and needs without contorting ourselves all out of shape. I understood that what couple therapy and education had been lacking was a clear scientific view of love. But when I tried to get my views published, most of my colleagues did not agree at all. First, they said that emotion was something that adults should control. Indeed, that too much emotion was basic problems in most marriages. It should be overcome, not listened to or indulged. But most important, they argued healthy adults are self-sufficient. Only dysfunctional people need or depend on others. We had names for these people. They were enmeshed, codependent, merged, and fused. In other words, they were messed up. Spouses depending on each other too much was what wrecked marriages. Therapists, my colleagues pronounced, should encourage people to stand on their own 2 feet. This was just like Dr. Spock's advice on how parents should handle their youngsters. Picking up a crying child is the way to create a weakling, he warned. Trouble is, Dr. Spock was dead wrong when it came to kids, and so were my colleagues when it came to adults. The message of EFT is simple. Forget about learning how to argue better, analyzing your early childhood, making grand romantic gestures, or experimenting with new sexual positions. Instead, recognize and admit that you are emotionally attracted to and depend on your partner in much the same way that a child is on a parent for nurturing, soothing, and protection. Adult attachments may be more reciprocal and less centered on physical contact, but the nature of the emotional bond is the same. EFT focuses on creating and strengthening this emotional bond between partners by identifying and transforming the key moments that foster an adult loving relationship, being open, attuned, and responsive to each other. Today, EFT is revolutionizing couple therapy. Rigorous studies during the past 15 years have shown that 70 to 75% of couples who go through EFT recover from distress and are happy in their relationships. The results appear lasting, even with couples who are at high risk for divorce. EFT has long been recognized by the American Psychological Association as an empirically proven form of couple therapy. There are thousands of EFT training therapists in North America and hundreds more in Europe, England, Australia, and New Zealand. EFT is being taught in China, Taiwan, and Korea. More recently, major organizations, including the U.S. and Canadian military and the New York City Fire Department, have sought my help in introducing EFT to distressed members and their partners. EFT's ever-broadening acceptance and application has also brought growing awareness of this approach to the public. Increasingly, I have been besieged by pleas for a simple, popular version of EFT, one ordinary folks can read and apply on their own. Here it is. Hold Me Tight is designed to be used by all couples, young, old, married, engaged, cohabitating, happy, distressed, straight, gay, in short, all partners seeking a lifetime of love. It is for women and for men. It is for people from all walks of life and all cultures. Everyone on this planet has the same basic need for connection. It is not for people who are in abusive or violent relationships, nor for those with serious addictions or in long-term affairs. Such activities undermine the ability to positively engage with partners. In those instances, a therapist is the best resource. I've divided the book into 3 parts. Part 1 answers the age-old question of what love is. It explains how we often slip into disconnection and lose our love, in spite of the best intentions and the greatest insights. It also documents and synthesizes the massive explosion of recent research into close relationships. As Howard Markman of the Center for Marital and Family Studies at the University of Denver says, this is moonshot time for couple therapy and education. We are at last building a science of intimate relationships. We are mapping out how our conversations and actions reflect our deepest needs and fears and build or tear down our most precious connections with others. This book offers lovers a new world, a new understanding of how to love and love well. Part 2 is a streamlined version of EFT. It presents 7 conversations that capture the defining moments in a love relationship, and it instructs you, the reader, on how to shape these moments to create a secure and lasting bond. Case histories and play and practice sections in each conversation bring the lessons of EFT alive in your own relationships. Part 3 addresses the power of love. Love has an immense ability to help heal the devastating wounds that life sometimes deals us. Love also enhances our sense of connection to the larger world. Loving responsiveness is the foundation of a truly compassionate, civilized society. To help you through the book, I've included a glossary of important terms at the end. I owe the development of EFT to all the couples I've seen over the years, and I make liberal use of their stories, discussing names and details to protect privacy throughout this book. All stories are composites of many cases and are simplified to reflect the general truths I have learned from the thousands of couples I have seen. They will teach you as they taught me. This book is my attempt to pass that knowledge on. I started seeing couples in the early 1980s. 25 years later, it amazes me that I still feel passionately excited when I sit down in a room to work with a couple. I still get exhilarated when partners suddenly understand one another's heartfelt messages and risk reaching out to each other. Their struggle and determination daily enlightens and inspires me to keep my own precious connection with others alive. We all live out the drama of connection and disconnection. Now we can do it with understanding. I hope this book will help you turn your relationship into a glorious adventure. The journey outlined in these pages has been just that for me. Love is everything it's cracked up to be. Erica John has written, it really is worth fighting for, being brave for, risking everything for. And the trouble is, if you don't risk anything, your risk is even greater. I couldn't agree more. So, I'm going to read this book. If you want me to read it and upload the chapters for you to listen to as well or talk about, let me know.